Hi everyone, welcome to Secret Life Drama. Have you ever loved someone and then they left you when you needed them the most? This is my story. I trusted a man. I gave him my heart. I thought we would build a life together. But one day, everything changed. I found out I was pregnant, and he walked away. No goodbye, no help, no love, just silence. I was alone, scared, and broken. But this is not a sad story. This is a story about pain, about strength, and about a mother who refused to give up. My name is Marlo. I am 28 years old. This story happened 3 years ago. At that time, my life felt simple and happy. I had a job. I had good friends. I did not have much money, but I smiled every day. I felt peaceful inside. One afternoon, my phone broke. The screen was black. I could not use it. I walked to a small repair shop near my home. It was quiet and a little old, but it felt warm. That is where I met Callum. Callum worked there. He fixed phones and laptops. When I walked in, he looked up and smiled. His smile was soft and kind. He asked me, "How was your day?" I said, "It is okay." His voice was calm. It made me feel safe. While he fixed my phone, we talked. We talked about small things at first. Then we talked more. Time passed fast. I did not feel bored. I felt comfortable. When he finished, he gave me my phone. Then he gave me his number. He said, "You can call me anytime." That evening, I called him. After that, we talked every day. Morning, night, sometimes for hours. We shared stories about our lives. We laughed a lot. We found many things we both liked. I started to wait for his messages. My days felt brighter because of him. After 2 weeks, we met again. We went for a walk. We walked for 2 hours. We talked the whole time. He told me he lived alone. His parents were in another city. I told him about my life too. I felt open with him. I felt safe. Slowly, my feelings grew. I started to like him more each day. Soon we became a couple. We spent more time together. He came to my home. I went to his home. We watched movies. We cooked food together. Sometimes the food was not good, but we laughed and ate it anyway. Callum always made me laugh. He had a kind heart. He did not have much money, but I did not care. I felt happy with him. After 6 months, he asked me something important. He said, "Can you move in with me?" I did not think long. I said yes. I left my small apartment. I moved into his place. It was not big, but it was clean and cozy. We shared everything: rent, food, life. It felt like we were building something together. I believed in us. I believed in our future. The first months were beautiful. We walked in the park. We cooked dinner every night. We talked and laughed. Sometimes he told jokes, and I laughed so hard I cried. I thought, this is the man I will marry. I felt lucky. I felt loved. But slowly, things started to change. At first, it was small. Callum began to come home late. He always said, "I am tired from work." I believed him. But something felt different. His smile was not the same. It was weaker. Sometimes it was not there at all. He stopped asking about my day. Before, he always asked me many questions. Now, he said very little. When we sat together, he looked at his phone, not at me. I felt a cold space growing between us. One night, I asked him, "What is wrong?" He said, "Nothing." But I knew that was not true. He was there, but not really there. His body was near me, but his heart felt far away. Days passed, then weeks. The distance grew bigger. I tried to talk to him, but he always said he was just tired. I wanted to believe him, but my heart felt heavy. Then one morning, something changed. I woke up feeling sick. My stomach hurt. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. I thought maybe it was bad food, but the next day, I felt sick again. And the next day, too. I started to worry. I went to a store. I bought a pregnancy test. My hands were shaking. I went home and waited. The result was clear. I was pregnant. I sat on the bed. I stared at the test. My heart beat fast. I felt scared. Very scared. But deep inside, I also felt something small and warm. A little joy. I touched my stomach. I did not know what to do, but I knew I had to tell Callum. That night, I waited for him. He came home late again. He looked tired. I stood in front of him and said, "We need to talk." He sat down. I looked into his eyes and said, "I'm going to have a baby." He did not speak. He just stared at me. Then he sat down slowly and put his face in his hands. The room was quiet. My heart was beating so loud. I waited. After a long time, he spoke. He asked, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes." He stood up. He walked around the room. He looked nervous. Then he said words that broke my heart. "I can't do this." I felt my chest tighten. I said, "We can do this together. We can raise the baby." But he shook his head. "No, I am not ready. I don't want this." His words felt like a knife. I asked him, "You don't want this child?" He looked at me and said something even worse. "I don't want this life." Everything inside me stopped. I could not breathe. He said he needed time. Then he took his jacket and walked out. I stood there alone. I waited all night. He did not come back. I called him again and again. No answer. I sent messages. No reply. 1 day passed, then 2, then 5. Finally, I got a message. It said, "I'm sorry. This is not the life I want." That was all. Then he blocked me. He was gone. I cried every day. I could not eat. I could not sleep. I felt empty and broken. But when I placed my hand on my stomach, I felt something different. I was not alone. I whispered softly, "I am here." I told my baby, "I will take care of you." I did not tell my family. I did not tell my friends. I felt ashamed. I was afraid they would judge me. So I stayed silent. I was alone, but I knew one thing. I had to be strong. For my baby. Slowly, I started again. I forced myself to eat. I forced myself to sleep. I went back to work. I saved money. I found a small room to live in. It had only a bed and a tiny kitchen, but it was enough. It was my new beginning. I went to the doctor alone. The first time I heard my baby's heartbeat, I cried. It was a small sound, but it was strong. In that moment, I made a promise. I will never leave you. And from that day, no matter how hard life became, I kept moving forward. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. My body changed slowly. My stomach grew bigger. My back hurt. My legs felt heavy. But I kept going. Every day, I woke up early. I went to work. I walked because I did not have a car. Some days, the sun was too hot. Some days, the rain made me wet. But I did not stop. I worked for my baby. After work, I went home tired. My body wanted to rest, but my mind stayed strong. I cooked simple food. I ate slowly. I saved money. Every small coin was important. At night, I lay on my bed and touched my stomach. I talked to my baby. I said, "I am here. I will not leave you." Those words gave me strength. Sometimes I thought about Callum. I wondered, does he think about me? Does he think about the baby? But there was no answer. He never called. He never came back. So I stopped waiting. I told myself, he made his choice. Now I will make mine. Months passed. My stomach grew big. Walking became harder. But I kept moving forward. I had no other choice. Then, one night, something happened. A strong pain hit my body. I held my stomach. I knew the time had come. I quickly took a taxi to the hospital. My heart was racing. I was scared, but I stayed strong. At the hospital, a nurse helped me to a bed. The pain came again and again. It was very strong. I cried. I held the bed tightly. I felt like I could not do it. But I remembered my promise. I will be strong. Hours passed. Then suddenly, I heard a sound. A baby cry. My baby. Tears filled my eyes. The nurse smiled and placed the baby in my arms. "It's a boy," she said. I looked at him. He was small, so small. His skin was soft and warm. His eyes were closed. His tiny hands moved slowly. My heart felt full. I whispered, "Hello." I named him Ezen. I kissed his cheek. I held him close. In that moment, all my pain disappeared. All my sadness faded away. I was not alone anymore. I was a mother. The first days were not easy. I was very tired. My body hurt. I could not sleep much. Ezen cried at night. I woke up again and again to feed him. But I did not complain. I loved him too much. Every time I looked at him, I felt peace. His small face gave me strength. I told myself, I will give you a good life. After 3 days, we left the hospital. We went back to my small room. It was not big, but I made it a home. I put Ezen in a small crib. I folded his tiny clothes. I cleaned everything again and again. I wanted the room to feel safe and warm for him. But life was not easy. Money was very tight. I had rent to pay. I had food to buy. I did not have a job at that moment. I felt worried, but I did not give up. I refused to ask Callum for help. He left us. I wanted nothing from him. So I started looking for work. Every day, I searched. I asked people. I looked online. It was hard. Many jobs paid very little. I needed something better. Finally, I found a small job at a nearby store. It was simple. I sold food and drinks. The pay was not high, but it was enough to start. The store was close to my room. That helped me a lot. I worked in the afternoons and evenings. During work, I focused on one thing: my son. Every hour I worked was for him. After work, I ran home quickly. I missed him all the time. When I saw him, my heart felt full again. Even when I was tired, I smiled. Because of him. Months passed. Ezen started to grow. First he smiled, then he laughed. His laughter was the most beautiful sound in the world. Then he started to move. Slowly, he learned to crawl. I watched him every day with big eyes. I could not believe he was mine. Sometimes I took him to the park. I pushed him in a small stroller. He looked at the trees. He watched people walk by. His eyes were full of wonder. When he laughed, I forgot all my problems, all the pain, all the tired days. Everything felt worth it. I still thought about Callum sometimes, but the feeling was different now. Less pain, more distance. I told myself again, he made his choice, and I made mine. One day, something unexpected happened. My phone rang. I looked at the screen. It was Callum. My heart stopped for a moment. I did not want to answer, but I did. I said, "Hello." His voice came through the phone. It felt strange, like a voice from the past. He said, "I have been thinking about you, and the baby." I stayed quiet. Then I asked, "What do you want?" He took a deep breath. "I'm sorry," he said. "I made a big mistake." My hands felt cold. He continued, "I want to be part of his life." Anger rose inside me. I remembered the nights I cried, the days I was alone, the pain I felt. I said, "You left us." My voice was calm but strong. "You were not there when we needed you." He said, "I know, I was wrong. I want to fix it. I want to be a father." I did not speak for a moment. I thought about everything, the pain, the struggle, the strength I built. Then I looked at Ezen. He was sleeping peacefully. My heart became clear. I said, "No." He was silent. I continued, "We are fine. I am not asking you to come back." My voice did not shake. "I have a good life. I have my son. That is enough." He was quiet for a few seconds. Then he said softly, "I understand." He said he would be there if I needed anything, but I did not answer. I ended the call. I put my phone down. Then I looked at Eason again. He was still sleeping. Calm. Safe. I smiled. I knew something very important in that moment. I did not need Callum. I never did. I had everything I needed right in front of me, and I would protect it with all my heart. After that call, my life became more stable. I worked every day. I saved money little by little. It was not a lot, but it was enough for us. I bought new clothes for Eason. I bought better food. I tried to give him a comfortable life. Money was still tight, but I did not feel afraid anymore. I was stronger now. I was a mother. When Eason turned 1 year old, I took him to the park. It was a sunny day. The sky was blue. The air felt fresh. I sat on a bench and watched him play with a small toy. He laughed and smiled. I looked at him and felt something deep in my heart. Pride. I remembered the day I found out I was pregnant. I remembered how scared I was. I remembered the nights I cried alone. But now, everything was different. I was still standing, and my son was happy. That was enough. As time passed, Ezen grew fast. By the time he turned 2, he started to walk. His steps were small and slow at first. I stayed close to him, ready to catch him if he fell. But he was brave. He kept trying. Soon he started to talk, simple words. "Mama." "Thank you." Each word felt like a gift. Every day I worked at the store, 5 days a week. It was tiring. My body often felt heavy. But when I came home and heard Ezen call, "Mama!" everything changed. He ran to me with open arms. I picked him up and held him tight. In that moment, all my tiredness disappeared. One evening, we were sitting on the floor. We played with small blocks. Eason looked at me with his big eyes. Then he asked a question. "Where is Papa?" My heart stopped for a second. I was not ready. I looked at his small, innocent face. I smiled softly. I said, "Papa is not here, but Mama is here." I touched his hair gently. "I will always be here with you." He looked at me for a moment. Then he smiled and said, "Okay, Mama." He went back to playing, but my heart felt heavy. I knew one day he would ask again, and one day I would have to tell him the truth. Weeks passed. Life continued. Work, home, Eason, sleep. Some days were easier. Some days were very hard. One day, I got sick at work. I had a fever. My head hurt. My body felt weak. I went home early. But being a mother does not stop. Even when I was sick, I still had to cook. I still had to clean. I still had to take care of Eason. That night, after he fell asleep, I lay on the bed. Tears rolled down my face. I whispered softly, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry I cannot give you more." But then I placed my hand on his small body, and I said, "I will never leave you." A few days later, something good happened. My manager called me. He smiled and said, "You work very hard." Then he gave me more hours and a small raise. It was not a lot, but it meant so much. It meant better food. It meant warm clothes. It meant hope. I started a small savings box at home. Every month, I put a little money inside. I told myself, one day we will have a better home. One day, Ezen will go to a good school. That hope kept me moving forward. One Sunday, I took Ezen to the park again. While he played, a woman sat next to me. Her name was Ren. We started talking. Her child was playing near Ezen. Soon we learned something important. She was also a single mother. She told me her story. She said she was alone before too. I felt something warm in my heart. She understood me. I shared my story with her. She did not judge me. She smiled and said, "You are strong." Those words meant everything to me. After that day, we met often. We talked. We laughed. Our children played together. For the first time in a long time, I felt I was not alone. When Eason turned 3, he started school. He was very excited. He made new friends. He learned songs. Sometimes he brought home drawings. I put them on the wall. I looked at them every day with pride. They were not just drawings. They were proof of our journey, from pain to hope. One day, something unexpected happened again. I saw Callum. He was at a grocery store. He looked older, more tired. When he saw me, he looked nervous. He walked closer and said, "Hi." I said, "Hi." My voice was calm. He asked, "How are you?" I said, "I'm fine." Then he asked about Ezen. I said, "He is happy. He is strong. He is kind." Callum looked down. He said, "I'm sorry," again. But this time, I felt nothing. No anger, no pain, only calm. I looked at him and said, "You missed everything. The first words, the first steps, the laughter. He needed you, but you were not there." He said nothing. Then he asked, "Will he ever want to see me?" I thought for a moment. Then I said, "Maybe one day, but not now." "He does not know you." Callum nodded slowly. He took out a piece of paper. He wrote his number and gave it to me. Then he walked away. I stood there for a moment. Then I went home. When I entered the room, Eason ran to me. "Mama!" He hugged me tightly. I smiled and held him close. Later that night, I looked at the paper. Callum's number. I held it in my hand. For a moment, I thought about the past. Then I took a deep breath, and I tore the paper into small pieces. I threw it away. I looked at Eason. He was playing on the floor, happy and safe. I sat next to him. He smiled at me. I smiled back. At that moment, I knew something very clear. We were enough, just the two of us. We did not need anyone else. We had love. We had strength. We had each other. And that was everything. Thank you for listening to my story. Life is not always easy. Sometimes people leave. Sometimes your heart breaks. But even in the darkest time, you can still stand up again. You can still be strong. I was alone, but I kept going. I was scared, but I did not stop, because of one small reason. My son, if you believe in strength, if you believe in never giving up, then this story is for you. Please like this video, subscribe for more real stories, and comment below. Where are you watching from? Remember this: you are stronger than you think.